It's 10 p.m. in Banjul. This is the news. First, the headlines. President Jammeh Babilimanta organizes a night-long Islamic conference bringing together venerable Islamic scholars and ordinary Muslims. Vice President Jai Sedi and a delegation of cabinet ministers returned to Banjul this evening after taking part in the United Nations General Assembly debates in New York. Russian President Vladimir Putin joins other European leaders in Paris for talks on the Ukrainian crisis, but Moscow's offensive in Syria threatens to overshadow the summit. And Thursday's mass shooting at a community college in the U.S. state of Oregon sparks another heated debate on gun control measures in the United States. Well, these and other stories coming ahead this half hour. I'm WINIFRED NICOL. Thanks for joining us once again. The Director General of GAMWorks, Ibrahim Acham, has addressed Eid greetings to the President, His Excellency, Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh Babilimanta, and the text reads, as the entire Muslim world prepare for the celebration of Eid al-Adha, locally known as Tobaski, the board, management, and staff of GAMWorks, and on my behalf, wish to convey to Your Excellency the President, Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh Babilimanta, the First Family, government, and the entire Muslim Ummah, a happy and Thanksgiving Eid al-Adha. May Allah grant Your Excellency, the President, your family, and the entire nation a successful, peaceful, and joyous celebrations filled with Allah's richest blessings. May Allah the Almighty continue to protect and guide the entire leadership and government throughout the festive season and beyond. Please accept, sir, the renewed assurances of my highest consideration and esteem. The President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh Babilimanta, last night organized a night-long Islamic conference which brought together venerable Islamic scholars and ordinary Muslims. The conference provided a platform for the scholars to talk on various issues affecting Muslims and their religion. Mamadou Jallo reports.
This is not the first of its kind, as Professor Jammeh is widely known for his support for the propagation and promotion of the Islamic religion and its values. Therefore, last night's events provided a platform for venerated religious leaders to delve on four thematic areas that are more or less the cornerstone of the Islamic religion. After intermittent religious songs by various dairas, the stage was set for the first speaker, Ustaz Muhammad Sar, to talk on the topic, fear of Allah and its impact on human beings. The learned scholar said fear of the Almighty Allah is the foundation of the Islamic religion because Allah created everything. The sole purpose of our creation, he continued, is for us to worship Him and Him alone. He therefore urged Muslims to seek knowledge of God and His religion by learning the Quran, wherein Allah has prescribed the rules and laws of worship. Imam Charno Dabo, on the other hand, spoke extensively about Salah, or prayer, the second pillar of Islam. Imam Dabo described prayer as the most important pillar of Islam, which God directly gave to the Prophet, peace be upon him, when he ascended to the heavens. Such a privilege makes it so important that it holds the key to paradise. He therefore urged Muslims to learn the basics of prayer and thank the President for constructing numerous mosques across the country to enable Muslims to pray. Ajama Imuna Savage urged Muslims, particularly women, to hold fast to their religion and shun any vices that only leads them away from God. He lamented the current societal trends which run contrary to Islamic values and admonished all Muslims to practice the religion as stipulated in the Quran and Sunnah of the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Other speakers included Ustaz Ayuba Sane and Alhaji Muhammad Lamin Toure, the President of the Gambia Supreme Islamic Council, who thanked the President for organizing such a forum. They both admonished Muslims to uphold the tenets of the Islamic religion and promote peace. GRTS News.
The director of the President's Alternative Medical Treatment Program, Dr. Tamsin Bow, hereby informs all patients who have registered for the 12th Infertility Treatment Program to report at the Kanilai Alternative Clinic at 10 a.m. on Thursday, 8 October 2015. His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya A. J.J. Jame Babili Mansa will commence the infertility treatment for a period of 1 week at Kanilai. For further information, please contact Dr. Tamsin Bow on 991-4535 or 992-0329. The promotion of civil-military relations as well as discipline were very much prominent in the message hammered home by Army chiefs as they presided over the decoration of 618 soldiers of various ranks, ranging from private to warrant officer class 1 at the home of the 1st Infantry Battalion in Yundum. The program is anchored on positive image building, which also intends to motivate deserving soldiers for their selfless sacrifice in protecting the territorial integrity of Gambia towards sustained peace and national security. GRTS's Babukar Kamara has details of that prayer ceremony.
One by one, they were calling out of their ranks, signifying their status as members of the Gambia Armed Forces, despite their different units of various detachments. The objective of this special gathering is promotions, but its fashion is quite peculiar in the history of the Gambia Armed Forces, particularly those of the 1st Infantry Battalion and the Defense Headquarters.
A total number of 618 soldiers from 1 Infantry Battalion have benefited from this promotion. Out of this figure, 11 soldiers are promoted to Warrant Officer Class 1, 16 to Warrant Officer Class 2, 32 to Staff Sergeant, 38 to Sergeant, 146 to Corporal, and 375 to Lance Corporal.
Promotion in the Gambia Armed Forces is a very important event in the annals of the Gambia Armed Forces daily schedules, or weekly schedule, or monthly schedules, and yearly schedules. Promotion is in recognition of hard work. It's in recognition of commitment. It's recognition of dedication to duty. It's in recognition of high sense of responsibilities. It's in recognition of you being so disciplined both within and outside the immediate barracks.
On arrival at that special gathering was the Deputy Chief of Defense Staff, escorted in a befitting show of discipline that accords their promotions to the various ranks they now hold. Promotions range from the ranks of a private soldier to that of Warrant Officer Class 1. But should aspiration and hard work be its driver, the cautionary advice was that of an image building, seeking to foster better civil-military relations.
I must emphasize the importance of good civil-military relations. It is vital to note that, generally, civilians appreciate the military for protecting the territorial integrity of the country and ensuring internal security. In the past, relations between the military and the civilian public have not always been perfect. However, in recent years, relations between the Gambia Armed Forces and the civilian population have improved drastically for the better. To maintain these good relations, we must continue to avoid all kinds of negative attitudes towards civilians, particularly the ill treatment of civilians and drug trafficking and abuse.
The event was possible with the recommendation of a promotion board convened by a competent authority with the approval of the Commander-in-Chief of the Gambia Armed Forces, retired Colonel Chief Professor Alhaj Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh Babili Mansa.
The various officers decorated in order of ranks has the remarkable presence of a military parade. But behind the thrilling exhibition lies their fortitude against any aggression that will compromise national security.
On behalf of my fellow promoters and on my own behalf, this promotion have a very positive impact on our lives. To whom much is given, much is expected. On this note, I wish to reiterate to the command of our loyalty at all times.
Babakar Kamara, GRTS.
Her Excellency Ambassador, Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of the Gambia to the Republic of Sierra Leone, Mrs. Ndeye Fatou Gueye, on September 3, 2015, presented her letters of credence to His Excellency the President of Sierra Leone, Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma. Her Excellency Ambassador Gueye conveyed sincere greetings and best wishes from the Gambia's President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya AJJ Jammeh Babili Mansa, to His Excellency Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma and the people of Sierra Leone. She also reiterated the Gambia's commitment to maintaining the cordial bilateral relations existing between Sierra Leone and the Gambia. In response, President Koroma thanked Ambassador Gueye for conveying the message and kind sentiments from his brother, President Jammeh, and also for appointing her as ambassador to the Republic of Sierra Leone. President Koroma made reference to the historic ties that happily exist between the two countries and reassured that it will further grow from strength to strength. The re-establishment of a joint ministerial commission between the Republic of the Gambia and the Republic of Sierra Leone was highlighted by President Koroma, and he further disclosed that he had asked the Sierra Leonean ambassador to the Gambia to work closely with the Gambia's foreign ministry in support of this initiative. A press release from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says President Ernest Bai Koroma thanked President Jammeh for his assistance in the fight against Ebola in Sierra Leone, and further stated that during the dark days of the outbreak, President Jammeh stood by him like a brother and contributed a huge sum of money for which he and the Sierra Leonean people are forever grateful. The Vice President, Her Excellency Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Saidi, and a delegation of cabinet ministers this evening returned to the country after taking part in the United Nations General Assembly debates in New York. This year's event was historic as the UN is marking 70 years since its formation and also ushered in new sets of development goals to be attained in the next 15 years. Ibrahim Abalde picks up the rest of that story.
United Nations for a historic event, the international community was keenly following how and what the UN is going to focus on during such a critical juncture in its history. The world body is marking 70 years since its formation, and this year also marked 15 years since the Millennium Development Goals were adopted, and if anything, 2015 was a moment of reflection and introspection. Having delivered a landmark speech on behalf of President Jammeh Babili Mansa, the Vice President, Her Excellency Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Saidi, gave us a comprehensive development perspective of the main issues contained in her speech.
The fact that we have observed and evaluated the 8 Millennium Development Goals, you remember, up to 2015, and we realized that there were a lot of gaps. Like women complain that women's empowerment is not enforced. We want a separate goal for women. Everybody puts in their agenda. Remember, this is the UN. We come globally, every agenda is put in, the whole world agenda. And of course, it would be a lot eventually because they evaluated the gaps in the 8 Millennium Development Goals and came up with these 17 goals and 169 targets.
A turning point for the UN this year is the adoption of numerous ambitious development goals known as the SDGs.
15 years ago, world leaders adopted the Millennium Development Goals These have helped many countries make significant achievements in terms of meeting the needs and aspirations of their peoples. There are some goals that are yet to be met by many countries, but these have been taken care of in the subsequent agenda, which is the Sustainable Development Goals. And I think 17 goals, 169 targets is rather ambitious, but it's achievable if countries and all other partners work together towards the realization of these goals.
Cabinet Minister spoke to us about ways of attaining the set targets.
You know that the Gambia is among the countries that has really achieved the MDGs in terms of water. But nonetheless, His Excellency's goal of attaining 100% access to water is what we are working on. And in terms of sanitation, the President, you would recall 3 weeks ago, has declared that 2017 is going to be zero open defecation in the Gambia. So all these are issues that were discussed during these last 3 days.
Well, it was a historic moment for everyone, especially those who actually made it here at the United Nations August 70. United Nations celebrating 70 years since its formation, and more than 100 world leaders decided to attend the event. What makes the event even more important is the fact that the United Nations Millennium Development Goals has phased out and have now been replaced with the Sustainable Development Goals. Now world leaders have decided once more to come together and renew their hopes and aspirations for the greater good of the world. Ibrahim Balde reporting for Grts News here at the United Nations.
The National Environment Agency, NEA, hereby informs the general public that the next Operation Clean the Nation is scheduled for this Saturday, 3rd October 2015. In this regard, all National Assembly members, governors, SAFOs, alcalolus, ward councillors, youth groups, women organizations and government institutions are being reminded that a presidential directive has been issued requiring all of them to organize and participate in the national clean-up exercise within their respective areas of jurisdiction. Consequently, there will be a mass inspection of premises, markets, areas of business, etc., by inspectors from the NEA, the Gambia Police Force and other stakeholders immediately after the exercise, and those found wanting will be prosecuted accordingly. We will be back with news from outside the Gambia after this break. Welcome back. Americans are in mourning after another mass shooting at a community college. At a community college in the northwestern state of Oregon, at least 9 people were killed by the gunman, leaving several others injured. More details of that episode in this DWTV report.
The residents of Roseburg try to give each other strength as they remember the victims of the shooting rampage in their small community college. Nearly everyone here knows someone who witnessed the act.
I was shaky because, like I said, there's a lot of my classmates there, and a lot of them are my friends, and I just couldn't bear the thought of any of them having to go through this.
One of my very close family friends, actually I consider her my sister, she got shot in the stomach today. She's okay though. She lost a kidney and she's going to be fine.
The shooting rampage has once again ignited the debate over stricter gun laws in the U.S. President Barack Obama is demanding changes and cautioned against people becoming desensitized.
We've become numb to this. We talked about this after Columbine and Blacksburg, after Tucson, after Newtown, after Aurora, after Charleston. It cannot be this easy for somebody who wants to inflict harm on other people to get his or her hands on a gun.
The shooter has since been identified as 26-year-old Chris Harper Mercer. Journalists spoke to his father after the police questioned him.
got anything to say, sir?
Obviously, it's been a devastating day. Devastating for me and my family. So all I ask is, I know you guys are here to do your job. All I ask is please just respect our privacy. And so far you've done that. So.
Is there any surprise at all?
Shocked. Shocked is all I can say.
As families and friends mourn the victims together, painful questions remain, such as what the motive could have been and how the world's most powerful country can better protect its citizens.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is in France for a key summit. Some Western leaders had planned to discuss steps and consolidate the fragile peace in Ukraine. But the Russian offensive in Syria is threatening to overshadow the summit.
Are the positions obviously between Vladimir Putin and the Western leaders, so France and Germany here, very different, but also among the French and the Germans. The Germans from the start never thought that it was a great idea to have airstrikes in Syria, especially not from the French. The French see it differently. They think it's good to try to target the Islamic State in Syria, but only the Islamic State, and that's one of the huge differences, of course, between the French and Vladimir Putin of Russia, who it's not sure if he's really only targeting the Islamic State. And the second one is the future of Bashar al-Assad and his regime. François Hollande, the French president, has repeatedly said he sees no future for Syria with Assad, and Russia thinks that Assad is the anchor of stability. So yes, you're right, very far away. It'll be very hard to bridge those gaps.
We take a second break now. Welcome back. The Gambia National Olympic Committee has officially launched its 4th edition of Women and Girls Festival. The high-level convergence was attended by prominent personalities in Gambian sports, administration and media. Babka Senghor takes a look at that story.
It is one of the biggest convergences of stakeholders in the domain of women's sports in the Gambia, a sector that is growing in influence and status since the emergence of a coherent strategy to develop women's sports. This latest gathering was convened by the Gambia National Olympic Committee, and the program forms part of the 2015 official opening of the 4th edition of Women and Sports Festival in the Gambia. This particular initiative is being led by the Women and Sports Commission arm of the GNOC, and it is aimed at raising the profile of women in sports and also inspire women and girls to build in self-esteem in Olympic sports, and as well as to help them continue to and compete in their specialized areas.
You have to take negative vibes and change it, translate it into positive, thinking in yourself. When people say something negative about you, don't think negative, just think positive and use it and further yourself. This is one thing that can help us in, attaining and maintaining self-esteem in us. Because sometimes, you see, when we went out, I have always said that in the Gambia, we don't have a problem of male discrimination against women. You see, when we went out to take pictures, the men stood apart, waiting for the women to sit and invite them. That's the culture we have. Because in the home, when mother is not there, the youngest sister can take control of that home and everybody abides by her. That is one system we also have. But the thing is, women do not take advantage of that to further their self-esteem.
Government has and continues to play an important role in creating the enabling environment for women participation in decision-making processes, and this is being felt in the participatory approach in sports administration. The country has seen an upsurge in the number of women who are taking up leadership roles in our sports.
It goes without saying that we can succeed in our sports development, leaving women and girls behind. perhaps I must joke here, that more often than not we are being beset by so many troubles, so many problems. Maybe because we are having more men leading sports. So perhaps it is about time that we encourage the women to take up leadership and take up these challenges. Because often it is said that for every successful man, there is always a woman beside him. So we want to use this opportunity to encourage them.
The event was attended by some very influential voices in sports, both from the country's media and sports administration spheres. They laid down important markers about the future of women's sports in the Gambia.
Today in the Gambia, I also keep saying, when it comes to women and sports development, we have the talents. It's there. You go out there and see some women playing different sporting activities, and you appreciate them for what they are doing, but at a very young age.
This will just try to make sure that we have a lot of women and girls to come when it comes to the domain of sports. We have a lot of advocates advocating for the rights of women, but to have a specific advocate advocating for the rights of women in sports is lacking in the country. And with such, we can bring more women and girls to take the challenge, because it all starts with our parents. We must try to encourage our parents for them to know the achievements and also the advantage when it comes to women in sports. Without them knowing such, they can't allow their girl child to take up when it comes to sports in general.
This forum comes only a few months after another important girls' football festival organized by the Gambia Football Federation. For Grts Sport, this is Babukar Senghor.
We now join the Central Forecast Office for a look at the weather report.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to the weather forecast. Has been very cloudy to partly cloudy with thunderstorm over the western sector. It was over 300 and rainfall figure is 2.2 millimeters. Satellite picture indicates active activities over upper central.
We apologize for that poor sound quality. And before we take leave of you, a recap of the day's main stories. The President, His Excellency Sheikh Professor Alhaji Dr. Yahya A.J.J. Jammeh Babili Mansa, last night organized a night-long Islamic conference which brought together venerable Islamic scholars and ordinary Muslims. The Vice President and Minister of Women's Affairs, Ajah Dr. Aissatou Njie Seydi, and a delegation of cabinet ministers this evening returned to Banjul after taking part in the United Nations General Assembly debates in New York. Russian President Vladimir Putin today joined other European leaders in Paris for talks on the Ukrainian crisis, but Moscow's offensive in Syria threatens to overshadow the summit. And Thursday's mass shooting at a community college in the U.S. state of Oregon has sparked another heated debate on gun control measures in the United States. Well, that was all in this edition of the News at 10. From me, WINIFRED, NICOL, and the entire news team, thanks for the pleasure of your company. Enjoy the rest of our programs.